What up, world? It's your boy Trademark back again with Follow the Drip podcast episode 4 part 2. Today I got my boy D Thornton
How y'all doing?
and his homeboy Jordan with him, man. This from Way Limited. What's up, fellas?
How you doing?
Doing great. So these guys are some young entrepreneurs, man, that are into fashion, man. Just kind of like Cuddy Reek and Skunk. These guys actually own a store here in town. So these guys own a store called Way Limited, and they got the flyest drip in the city of Waco. Dior, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Waco, born and raised. I'm 23 years old. Graduated from Conley High School, and I went to University of Mary Hardin Baylor for 2 years. Got injured. Came back home with the MCC and just didn't feel like going back to school. It wasn't for me.
College dropout.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
College
and you said you went to UMHB and got injured. Got injured
Yeah.
doing what?
Playing football.
Okay, so you play football too. We all, I guess it's just a Texas thing, man. People in Texas
Everybody
play football.
Yeah.
So you went to college, played football.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into fashion though?
When I got injured, I had a lot of free time. So I started customizing shoes. After I was customizing shoes, I really got into designing jeans. So I started distressing jeans and tapering jeans. And then everybody from school was like contacting me trying to get their jeans tapered or get some shoes customized. And it just kind of took off from there. Everybody just started labeling me as the designer, I guess.
So they labeled you, huh?
Yeah.
You didn't label yourself.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, man. So, and then how did you go into the point to where you figured out, hey, we want to open a store.
After I came home from college, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. So I just thought of everything that I can do with a little money. So I reached out to Brady Gilstrap, which is the other owner of Way Limited. He's not here right now. I reached out to him. He was real big in Supreme. So I started this brand called Class A. Me and two friends of mine, we started this brand called Class A. After Class A, we didn't really keep it going, so we stopped it. And we had T-shirts and hats and stuff that we was giving away for free to some of the Baylor players. And somehow, some way, all the popular athletes started hitting me up for these shirts and hats and stuff. So KD Cannon was the first person that we gave stuff to, and he was just rocking it like crazy. And then Taylor Young wanted some, and then Ishmael Wainwright wanted some, and then it just went from there. After I got that going, I started personal shopping for Royce O'Neal and Torian Prince. I was buying them all types of Supreme for them. Brady was the plug on that, and I was the vintage guy. So after I started doing that, I just started thinking man, what can I do next to just take that big move? And so I got with Brady, and I just opened the store out on 4604 Memorial Drive, right across from the VA. So we opened our first store, and we just went on from there.
So for some of the people who may not know, kind of tell us about some of these, what you're talking about. You said Brady with the Supreme, you with the vintage. I mean, there may be some people out there in the world that you speaking a foreign language too. So help them understand and help me understand too, because I'm a throwback myself.
Supreme is a brand out of New York City, and basically all they do is tag the word Supreme on anything, like this ladder right here. Right. And they resell it for crazy. Well, the retail is cheap, but the resale is what makes it so expensive. And it's so limited. It sells out literally in seconds online.
So it's way limited.
Yeah, very, very limited.
So a regular step stool or ladder, I could probably buy at Home Depot for no more than $35.
Right.
They wrap it with the Supreme logo, and then you can resell it in your store for something like what?
About maybe $300. $275, $300.
So $275 and $300 just because of the Supreme logo.
Right.
Okay, and then And of course, I know they've done collabs with like Louis Vuitton and other brands like that. I've seen keychains, bumper stickers. How much does a Supreme bumper sticker cost?
I mean, $5.
$5. Oh, okay. I can buy Supreme.
It's
then.
free though. Like they send it to you like free when you buy something.
Oh, so it's actually free. So it's still there's a resale on something that's free.
Yep.
That's crazy. Wow. And then vintage. Talk to me a little bit about vintage.
All right, so I'm a real big vintage person. So vintage is like the guest that you get from like the '80s, probably like back in your day. Now that's what we call vintage. We call that vintage. So you have like the old faded black look, and you got like the band tees from like the '80s and the '90s, and that's kind of what I sell in the vintage. I'm actually getting ready to open up a vintage store. We're trying to plan to open in 2020. Me and my friend Jordan here. Yeah, so that's vintage.
So, is there a good vintage and a bad vintage, or is there a kind of a market for the real thing versus a knockoff? I mean, talk to me a little bit more about vintage, because there might be. I mean, and do you buy this stuff from people?
Yeah.
Because there's people with bags and bags of stuff in their garage that they could possibly make some money on by contacting my boy Dior and Jordan over here at Weight Limited. So I want you to plug that in, because hey, I want you to make sure that you're able to get all the vintage. You didn't catch me in time, and then there's just some stuff that I won't part ways with, but you might be able to get some of their stuff.
Yeah, so we buy vintage. We're buying it like in bulk. So if anybody has vintage T-shirts, Rock Band T-shirts, Carnival T-shirts, jerseys, vintage Nike shorts, Patagonia, all that we're buying. We buy everything. Anything that's vintage, anything faded and black, we're buying.
So it has to be black?
No, it don't have to be black.
Okay.
A lot of people think that vintage is like old black and faded look. So
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is that like you have a couple of people that are really big into vintage. They want like the single stitching, you know what I mean? They got to see the year on there, like 1988 or 1993 or something like that. But for the average consumer, they really just want the look, you know what I mean?
Right.
And the 90s are really, really big right now. Everybody's trying to rock like those old Nike windbreakers and those old school clothes and stuff like that. So really we're trying to go for like the average consumer that really just wants something like kind of a throwback look for a good price, but also you do still have like those hardcore like vintage collectors and those people that are really into vintage that really want specific details and they're looking for a specific product.
So basically, if I went to a concert when I was in high school and now I'm 50 years old and I still got that T-shirt, it's probably worth something to you guys.
Yeah, it is
Absolutely.
worth something.
Okay. And then talk to me about some of the stuff that you brought with you today, because I see some vintage throwback, what would I call it? The Jimmy Johnson era Cowboys stuff that you guys brought with you.
So I actually had a customer bring these in to me, and they're really dope, really rare. I'm actually gonna put this in the new store that I opened up with the vintage, but I just brought them just to show you guys like what's gonna be in the store, and they're all new. They all have tags and everything on it. So these are probably worth like $30-$40.
So a throwback Cowboys hat, and I don't even think. Can I see this hat real quick? And I just want to make sure I look at it the right way.
One. You got this. This is my favorite one right here.
Because somebody who wears hats like me, because I'm bald, I always, I know what we used to wear, and back in my day in the 90s, 80s, 90s, a starter hat or a top of the world or some of that stuff were big. But these right here, they seem like they could have been bought at, a local swap meet or maybe even a corner store.
Yeah.
But the time that they were bought is why they have these type of looks. So for something like this, because I probably could have bought this for about $15.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it worth now?
About 30. Yeah.
So it's worth double the price now just because it's old.
Yeah. Probably sell it for like 30.
So 30, I know y'all got some stuff out there. Y'all get with my guys over here, because you can't keep it forever. All right, go ahead and put some money in your pockets and let's fill up the Weight Limited store.
We'll cash you out.
And they will cash you out on anything you need. What about this hoodie that you brought? Talk to me about it.
All right, so this hoodie is something new that we're bringing in store. We already have in the store, but it's by the artist XXXTentacion. It's called Revenge. Got his little face on the back. It looks kind of devilish a little bit, but that's the rock theme that they go for. And it has a design on the side, on the sleeve.
And your store is called Way Limited. So is this something that's limited?
Yes, this is very limited. Like, this sells out like crazy online. And it's really starting to be popular right now. Since X died too, it's, real limited. So these sell in store for like we have them in store for about $182.
So $182 hoodie.
Yeah.
And like I said, this store is called Way Limited. So they have some stuff that's vintage and cheap,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But then they have some stuff that's way limited, that's hard to get,
Like
that you can just
these.
walk in the store and get. So as you can see, we have what are these called, Yeezy 350.
Yes, sir.
And what particular colorway are these Yeezy
This is
350?
the olive colorway.
Okay, and
Yes,
so on a retail side, retail basically meaning if I happened to be, one of the people who got in line and was able to get a pair when they were selling retail, how much did they actually retail for?
$220.
So they retail for $220, and now they resell for about.
Well, these are used, so these resell for $350.
So at used, they sell, it sounds like 110% over, or about 110%, 115%.
Yeah,
So
well, just depending on the shoe.
and you have stuff that's more rare than these
Yeah.
in store. Okay, okay. Well, hey, sounds like Way Limited is the spot to be. Sounds like it's the place to be. These young guys, they know the trends, and that's one thing that I appreciate about hip hop culture, because it goes forward, then it goes back, then it goes forward, then it goes back. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that we wear or used to wear when we were kids, they're looking for it right now. It's hot. It's hot in the streets, and so don't hesitate to go dig through your garage and find some stuff, and make you some extra cash, because it's probably easier. I'm quite sure these guys probably pop up at garage sales every once in a while and steal some stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm quite sure if you were able to walk in the store and had already sorted through it, you might make a little bit extra cash. What is the Anti-Social Club? I see your T-shirts. So talk to me a little bit about the Anti-Social Club, and then we'll get into kind of what the project that you guys have going on here pretty soon.
So Antisocial is a brand based out of Japan, I believe. I should do my research on this.
I'm sorry.
Okay. But Antisocial is a brand based out of Japan. It's really limited. So they sell on their website for they let their website run for 2 hours, and then after 2 hours they shut the website down when they have a release, and that's what makes it so limited. So this shirt is retail like $38. We sell in the store for $88. And $88 honestly is a good price. My business partner Max, he's a real big bulk buyer in the Antisocial, so we kind of get a good deal on it. And I think we have probably the cheapest in Texas, the cheapest price around Texas.
So if we were in Austin, Dallas, Houston, this same shirt would go for probably twice the cost.
Like 108.
So 108. So probably about $40 more expensive, and you got to make the drive.
Yeah, and you got to make the drive.
Okay, and then what about to your left? What is it? What do we have?
So this is the Cause T-shirt. I was actually in New York when this released, me and my business partner Max, and we copped like literally 120 tees. And this is very limited because it's the last drop that Cause would do with Uniqlo. And so in about a year or so, they'll be worth like 100. We sell them in store right now for 54. So if somebody want to buy them now, you could double your money, honestly.
Okay, and do you guys have a social media page or anywhere where someone could who may not have time to walk in the store but might want to see what you guys have for sale? Do y'all have social media to where they could follow you?
Yes, Way Limited on Instagram and Facebook, and then we have a website, www.waylimited.com.
Waylimited.com. So you brought your friend Jordan in here with you today because you said y'all had. You talked about maybe a new project that you guys might be working on. That's so, right. Jordan, first of all, my name's Trey, man. They call me Trademark. But where are you from, Jordan?
From Houston originally.
From Houston. So what part of Houston?
From Greenspoint.
From Greenspoint, Houston. Okay, I know a mall called Greenspoint, Houston.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how did you hook up with D? And then, talk to me a little bit about how you grew up and what kind of brought you guys to link up?
I came out to Waco, the Waco area for school at first, for Baylor. and then ended up working in real estate. Moved to Austin for a little while, then came back. Ended up meeting D through a mutual friend, Rocco, and he kind of put us in touch. And then I honestly didn't talk to him for like a couple months after that, something like that. And then we just kept seeing each other and stuff like that, and we got to talking. You know what I mean? I'm really big into fashion and the clothes, hip hop, the culture, like all that stuff. And me and him had a lot of similar ideas. And honestly, De'Orian's just kind of like the brainchild. Like, he has all the ideas, the drive. You know what I mean? He's the guy. You know what I mean? Me, I'm more of just kind of the business guy, like in the back, kind of planning everything as far as business plans, our clients, pricing, traffic, all that kind of stuff. But De'Orian is the CEO of the ship, basically. So, that's pretty much it.
So you guys are working on a project or something new coming up.
All vintage
can you talk about it?
Yeah, so we're going to open an all vintage store here in Waco. We're planning, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. Well, maybe I am. So my friend Austin Meek, the owner of Pokios, he's about to have a project on Elm Street. He's going to have it to where he has Pokios. He's going to have a club there, and then he's going to have like little containers where you can have a retail shop at.
Okay.
So that's going to be on Elm Street, and we're thinking about getting a container and just selling the vintage out of there. So that's the plan. Hopefully it's done by 2020. If not, then we're going to find like a little place temporarily, and then we'll go to Elm Street.
So would you say the strength, and I've been living in Waco for a long time. Is the strength of you guys' business over at Way Limited right now, as you go into your vintage store, is the strength vintage?
I think that definitely in Waco, like the target market, vintage is way more affordable. But also, as far as like the name, a lot of people know De'Orian, you know what I mean? So wherever he takes his name to, the business will thrive, you know what I mean? So I think that in these next couple of months, some careful marketing plus, using De'Orian's strengths and everything like that, the business will successfully transfer like traffic from, his other ventures to our new one.
Yeah.
But also there's also going to be some people that only want hype. They only want like the Way Limited stuff, you know what I mean? But you have some other people that's like, man, I don't know if I can spend 2 paychecks on Way Limited. Let me go ahead and see if I can get something cool that no one else really has because it's vintage, and go from there, you know what I mean?
Right.
But wherever his name is attached to, he's well known in Waco, and people are gonna go,
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, I have a special place in my heart for just young men with the drive like you young men have. And because a lot of times nobody believed in Positive Money, nobody believed we could do this podcast. But at the same time, it takes a certain type of mind to actually be able to put it together and say, we're going to do it, this is how we're going to do it. Of course, we're going to slip and fall sometimes, but as long as you continue to grow and don't quit, I feel like you can do anything, man. And it's definitely been my pleasure having you guys here on our show. Is there anything else, guys, or any more questions that you might want to answer, or anything that people might need to know about you that we may have not talked about?
Way Limited is definitely the first store like ours in Waco, and so we plan on growing it to still be the best store within like 10 years from now. So the vintage is the vintage, and Way Limited is Way Limited. So Way Limited is going to have more of your hype brands such as Antisocial, Easy, Revenge. We're working on Bape and also some V-Lone. So we don't want to put the vintage crowd in with the hype crowd. You know what I'm saying? So we want to kind of separate the two. So if you want vintage, to go to the vintage store. If you want some hype gear, you're going to go to the hype store. And so we're not trying to compete with ourselves, because I am the owner of Way Limited. I'm just trying to create a different vibe with a different store. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard trying to put the hype with the vintage.
And especially with with Magnolia and stuff like that being in Waco, people are kind of into vintage. You might get tourists who come here and they're looking for something that is used or previously enjoyed, and that's a whole different crowd than someone who's just looking to have the the coolest thing that nobody else has, that's brand new, that nobody really knows about. So I understand where you're going with it. Way limited should be the limited stuff, and you keep a vintage store rolling. Yeah. But at the same time, and I want to make sure I plug this in, man. Yeah. Keep a rack or two in there for some of the local guys, because they might end up being some of the limited stuff. Because some of these guys are, had that drive, and these Japanese companies, and even Guest and Polo and stuff like that. They had to start somewhere.
Yeah, and, that's our goal too. Like, my goal is to help people grow in Waco. It was kind of hard for me starting off, but I just had to get out there and start networking and just connecting with different people. So if there's anybody who's trying to collab with me or Way Limited, I'm definitely down to. So if I can grow, you can grow, we all can grow.
This has been Follow the Drip Podcast Episode 4 Part 2. Make sure y'all follow us on IG. That's follow_the_drip_podcast. Also, send us an email if there's somebody you want to see on this show. Don't hesitate to send us an email. That's followthedrippodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, this is Follow the Drip.